This week it's Jon Pemberton's turn to share his financial insights with us. How are you doing, Jon?
Yeah, very well, thank you, Howard. Rather hot, but other than that, really good, thank you.
Yes, we wait for autumn, I guess. Well, it's occurred to me that June saw the 10-year anniversary of the Brexit vote, the UK's European Union referendum. The UK then left the EU in January 2020, with the transition period ending on the 35th of December that year. While much of the public debate focused on politics and trade, the reality for British expatriates here in Spain has revolved around practical issues: residence rights, healthcare, travel, import duties, banking, and financial advice. So let's explore what's changed since that landmark vote 10 years ago. So firstly, perhaps the most visible change for UK nationals wishing to live in countries like Spain has been their legal status. What's the situation now for Britons who moved here before Brexit, since Brexit, and who haven't moved here yet?
Yes, Howard, I think this was one of those significant events when you remember exactly where you were when you heard the result of the Brexit vote. I remember I watched in amazement, sitting at home, having breakfast, switched on the news and listening to the result. And then, of course, the subsequent resignation of David Cameron. It was one of those events I'll never forget, I have to be honest. Yeah, today expats are generally treated as third country nationals, subject to local immigration rules, unless they secure protected rights under the withdrawal agreement. Expats covered by the withdrawal agreement generally retain their residence rights, although they have had to comply with local registration requirements and keep documentation up to date. For Britons moving to the EU today, Brexit introduced a different reality. Prospective residents must qualify for residence permits or visas under each country's immigration rules, and retirees often need to demonstrate sufficient income, healthcare cover, and accommodation before obtaining residency. Nonetheless, I would say that achieving your dream retirement in Spain remains a viable and very achievable option for many, even if it does require more bureaucracy, advanced planning, and expert advice.
What about holiday homeowners?
Well, UK passport holders visiting the Schengen area are now subject to the 90-day in the 180-day rule, unless they have residency rights in an EU country. Merely owning a property does not provide an exemption to this rule. This restriction has had a significant impact on holiday homeowners who can no longer come and go as they please, and many have had to limit their stays and carefully monitor their time spent in the Schengen region. And this is why many people have made the decision, who are homeowners, to become full-time residents and fully embrace expatriate life. If taxation is holding you back, with specialist advice and careful planning, Spain can offer surprisingly favourable tax environments for retirees.
Yeah, picking up on that point, I wondered if Brexit has affected taxation at all. So what's your advice for holiday homeowners who want to live here full-time but are worried about those tax implications?
Brexit did not fundamentally alter double taxation treaties, which remain in force between the UK and individual countries. However, British expatriates should pay close attention to their tax residency status, how their income and assets are taxed, and their local reporting obligations. Tax authorities across Europe have become increasingly sophisticated in exchanging information, making compliance more important than ever. And now the EU's entry-exit system, the EES, border controls, make it easier to identify overstayers within the Schengen zone. Further, some individuals may spend enough time in Spain or have the ties here to meet its tax residency criteria without realising it or formally declaring their status. This can therefore result in tax investigations, backdated liabilities, interest charges and penalties, as well as the immigration consequences. Many expatriates are also discovering that their UK arrangements may no longer be tax efficient once they become tax resident elsewhere. So investments, pensions and saving structures that worked well before moving abroad may not receive the same treatment in Spain. And inheritance tax liability in the UK is definitely a major topic of conversation with expats moving to Spain. But with careful planning, the inheritance tax liability could in fact be reduced. So although the tax regime in Spain is very different to that of the UK, it can, with careful and regulated advice, be very beneficial.
Finally for today, John, healthcare is obviously an important issue for all of us. Did anything change here with Brexit?
One area where fears largely failed to materialise is healthcare. The UK-EU withdrawal agreement and subsequent arrangements preserved many healthcare rights for eligible pensioners and long-term residents. British retirees receiving a UK state pension can often continue to access state healthcare in Spain through the S1 system, while the UK and EU also coordinate certain social security benefits. That said, healthcare systems vary considerably between countries, so before locating, establish what state healthcare you'll be entitled to. But you may choose to supplement this with private medical insurance, or it may be a requirement of your actual residence application.
Thanks, John. We've run out of time for today, but next week we'll cover an important consequence of Brexit: financial advice and services. In the meantime, how can listeners get in touch if they have questions or need advice on moving to and living in Spain today?
Yeah, thanks, Howard. If they go on to www.blevinsfranks.com, you'll be able to locate your local office, your local partner, arrange a meeting or arrange a phone call, and I'm pretty sure that we'll be able to help.
Speak to you next week.
Thanks, Howard.